nightly business report.
Good evening. Tonight. Today, President and Finance Minister Anurukumara Dissanayake received the Central Bank of Sri Lanka's annual economic review for last year. Once one of the world's top exporters of tea, Sri Lanka's output has drastically decreased, and in 2025 it will lag behind India. India is now the world's second largest exporter of tea, surpassing Sri Lanka by 24 million kilograms. As the ASPI fell 712 points to conclude at 14,660, a decrease of 4.64%, the Colombo Stock Exchange saw significant losses today. And in the midst of the ongoing global trade war, which was triggered by US President Donald Trump's tariff declaration, Asian stocks fell today as a broad market sell-off grew more intense. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka today presented its annual economic review for 2024 to President and Minister of Finance Anurukumara Dissanayake, showcasing the country's steady economic recovery after its most severe downturn in recent history.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka officially presented its annual economic review for 2024 to President and Finance Minister Anurukumara Dissanayake at a ceremony held at the Presidential Secretariat. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, the Governor of the Central Bank, handed over the report, which includes 4 main chapters: macroeconomic developments, conditions of the financial system, review of central bank's policies and macroeconomic outlook. According to the review, the Sri Lankan economy has shown significant signs of recovery in 2024 following the severe economic crisis of 2 years ago. Despite challenges, the country's recovery has been notably faster than that of many other debt-distressed nations. Positive indicators such as improved economic activity, a partial resurgence in purchasing power and reduced uncertainty are highlighted in the report.
Sri Lanka successfully concluded bilateral debt restructuring of approximately $1.4 billion with India during Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the island nation. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri confirmed the completion of the process with the exchange of mandatory bilateral agreements on debt restructuring. As of September last year, Sri Lanka had a total outstanding debt of $1.366 billion to India, including unpaid principal. Indian Prime Minister Modi highlighted that India had converted over $100 million in loans to grants in the past 6 months and also reduced interest rates on repayments. Since Sri Lanka's economic crisis in 2022, India has provided nearly $4.5 billion in financial assistance to the support of the nation's recovery. Sri Lanka had also concluded a $12.5 billion debt restructuring with commercial creditors in December last year. Sri Lanka, once the leading global tea exporter, has seen a significant decline in production, falling behind India in 2024. India surpassed Sri Lanka by 24 million kilograms, becoming the second largest tea exporter in the world.
Sri Lanka's tea industry has seen a sharp decline in production, dropping from an average of 300 million kilograms to just 245 million kilograms since 2019, according to industry expert Jayantha Karunaratne. The drop has led to the country falling behind India in tea exports, with India surpassing Sri Lanka by 24 million kilograms in 2024. The decline is largely attributed to the government's controversial 2019 ban on chemical fertilizers, which disrupted the sector and caused a long-term decline in crop yields. Despite reversing the ban in 2022, recovery has been slow due to ongoing economic challenges, including fuel shortages and rising costs. Deputy Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security R.M. Jayawardena stated that no long-term plans have been developed yet to address the issue. However, researchers emphasize that Sri Lanka's focus on high-quality tea production despite lower yields remain a key asset in the global market. The country's older tea bushes, some over 100 years old, contribute to the premium character of Sri Lankan tea.
The development of the Trincomalee oil tank farm has stalled as the Sri Lankan government continues to search for a suitable private investor for the joint venture with Trinco Petroleum Terminal Limited. Lanka IOC Managing Director Deepak Das confirmed that no decision has been made on how to proceed with the 61 tanks allocated to the TPTL. The government is in the process of selecting a strategic investor through an ongoing expression of interest process. Although some initial work such as cleaning and clearing the site for 10 tanks has begun, full refurbishment will only proceed after a private investor is secured. TPTL, a joint venture between LIOC and the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, was assigned 61 tanks for a 50-year lease in 2022. The project was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers, but the delay in identifying an investor has hindered progress on the long-term development plans. Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed today with notable losses as the ASPI dropped by 712 points, ending at 14,660, a decline of 4.64%. Similarly, the index S&P SL20 index fell by 268 points, closing at 4,264, marking a decrease of 5.92%. The market saw a share of volume of 188 million with a turnover of 6.48 billion rupees. For further insights, we speak with Manusha Kandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prasansa. At the start of the week, the Colombo stock market experienced a sharp decline triggered by concerns over the US reciprocal tariff as investors adopted a selling approach during the trading session. In the early hours of the morning, the Colombo Stock Exchange implemented its first circuit breaker. This meant that if the S&P SL20 index dropped by 5%, trading would be halted for 30 minutes. On today, the market plummeted nearly 713 points, marking the highest intraday loss, surpassing the intraday loss of 621 points, which had happened on 22nd April 2022. The steep drop was largely driven by global panic selling, with the banking sector and blue chip stocks exerting significant downward pressure on the index as well. As a result, the all-share price index closed the day in red at 14,660, while the S&P XL20 index also dropped to 4,269 points, losing 265 points. This marked a Black Monday for the Sri Lankan stock market as well. Turnover surged to 6.5 billion rupees, driven by panic selling, marking an increase of nearly 185% from the monthly average of 2.3 billion rupees as well. The banking sector accounted for 32% of the total turnover, while the capital goods and retailing sectors collectively contributed 38%, fueled by strong activity from both retail and high net worth investors. Meanwhile, top three losers of the day were Lankan Development, ASPH and UB Finance.
The market opened the week negatively, with the ASPI and S&P S20 continuing last week's downward trend. Analysts suggest further pressure if uncertainties persist, with a potential rebound depending on global or local developments. For further insights, we speak with Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prasansa. The broader market, following the global sell-off, witnessed a day of selling pressure, with the index declining by 712 points to close at 14,660 for the day. The turnover climbed to 605 billion, surpassing the average daily turnover of 2.2 billion. Going forward, we expect the uncertainty surrounding equities to prevail as investors adopt a cautious and a more wait-and-see approach to see what the government of Sri Lanka's response to the US tariffs. At First Capital, we remain optimistic that the government of Sri Lanka will take necessary actions to possibly mitigate the impact of the loss of exports from the implementation of tariffs from 9th April 2025. With uncertainty prevailing, we expect turnovers to dwindle down as investors adopt a more cautious and a wait-and-see approach. The panic selling we saw today in the market are expected to continue ease as selling pressure is expected to be observed but on a minute level. Looking ahead, in terms of individual shares, we expect the uncertainty surrounding the apparel and the plantation sector companies to prevail as these are the highest exposed sector for the US tariffs. However, with rupee depreciation on the cards, we expect dollar earning shares like the hotel sector to see improved volumes benefiting from this as well. Thank you.
Gold prices fell to a 3-week low in Asian trading today, driven by investors liquidating positions to cover losses from other markets. Spot gold slipped 0.5% to $3,023.10 per ounce, its lowest level since March 13. Following consecutive record highs last week, the retreat came after US President Donald Trump's tariff announcement, which triggered broader market turmoil. Gold futures for June were largely unchanged at $3,039 an ounce. Despite being traditionally seen as a safe haven, gold declined amid a broader risk-off sentiment as traders evaluated the impact of rising global trade tensions. Trump's announcement of a blanket 10% tariff on imports and retaliatory moves by China and the EU fueled concerns about a global economic slowdown. Oil prices extended losses today, falling nearly 4% amid escalating trade tensions between the United States and China. Brent futures lost 3.7% to $63.15 per barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 3.9% to $59.57. The trade conflict sparked fears of a global recession, which could reduce demand for crude oil. Both Brent and WTI benchmarks dropped to their lowest levels since April 2021. The ongoing market downturn coincided with OPEC Plus preparing to increase oil supply. These developments have added to concerns over the future stability of the global oil market. Analysts warn that continued trade tensions and increased supply could further pressure oil prices in the coming weeks. The Sri Lankan rupee has experienced a slight depreciation against the US dollar today compared to last Friday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased while the selling rate has also seen a change. The rupee has shown minor fluctuations against a range of foreign currencies, with a notable depreciation observed against Gulf currencies. Let's now take a closer look at how the rupee is performing against other major global currencies in today's market. A short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. Nearly 200 entrepreneurs from across Sri Lanka gathered in Colombo for a unique trade fair organized by Commercial Bank of Ceylon, showcasing and selling products and services from small and medium enterprises.
The 3-day SME trade fair organized by Commercial Bank of Ceylon at the BMICH's Nugasevana attracted nearly 200 entrepreneurs from across Sri Lanka. The event featured a variety of SME stalls across different sectors, with corporate entities supporting the agriculture sector also participating. The Industrial Technology Institute and National Engineering Research and Development Centre had their own booths, offering support and information to attendees. An industry help desk was set up by the bank along with representatives from government institutions like the Industrial Development Board and Export Development Board, providing advice to exhibitors and visitors. The fair marked its 3rd edition and was attended by key figures including Commercial Bank's Managing Director CEO Sanat Manatunga and COO S. Prabhagar. Several awareness programs were conducted on topics such as microplastics, making products export-ready, and cybersecurity. The event also featured a panel discussion with experts from commercial bank and entrepreneurs focusing on digital transformation and business growth.
HNB has announced the removal of merchant discount rates for Lanka QR transactions among its appointed merchants, promoting digital payments across Sri Lanka. This initiative, valid from April 1st to June 30th, 2025, aims to encourage cashless transactions during the busy Aurutha season. HNB's move supports the central bank's efforts to foster financial inclusivity and simplify merchant payments through Lanka QR, which now has over 410,000 merchants island-wide. The 0% MDR offer will apply to transactions under 10,000 rupees, providing a seamless and cost-effective payment solution for small businesses. HNB CEO Damit Pallewatta emphasized the bank's role in expanding the digital ecosystem and improving merchant access to banking systems. The initiative also benefits cross-border transactions, allowing tourists from India and China to use apps like UPI, UniPay and Alipay in Sri Lanka. Millennium IT ESP, a leading technology solutions provider, has expanded into the Australian market, marketing its 5th international location and strengthening its global presence.
Millennium IT ESP has expanded into the Australian market, marking its 5th international location. This strategic move aims to accelerate digital transformation and foster partnerships across the region, offering Australian businesses cutting-edge IT solutions. CEO Shevan Gunathilaka emphasized that the expansion is a significant milestone in the company's global journey and reflects its commitment to innovation. With nearly 30 years of experience and over 2,000 completed projects, Millennium IT ESP serves over 500 customers worldwide. The company's diverse portfolio includes infrastructure platforms, cybersecurity, cloud services, and managed services, among others. Millennium IT ESP now has a presence in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Singapore, Dubai, and Australia, with a global service delivery center at Port City, Colombo. This expansion underscores the company's dedication to empowering businesses and redefining the technology landscape.
Cargill's Bank has opened a new branch in Kegol, strengthening its commitment to financial inclusion. The new branch aims to provide modern banking solutions to local entrepreneurs, businesses and retail customers. The opening ceremony was attended by Cargill's Bank Managing Director, CEO Senrat Bandara and senior management, alongside distinguished guests and customers. Bandara emphasized the bank's mission to bring banking closer to people and support the region's growing potential. The Kegol branch offers a full range of services including savings accounts, loans, credit cards and digital banking with a modern facility and customer-focused approach. The branch is set to become a trusted financial partner in the community. NSBM Green University has partnered with American University to offer a 2+2 business administration degree pathway, allowing Sri Lankan students to complete their studies in Washington, D.C. The partnership was formalized with U.S. Ambassador Julie Chang in attendance.
NSBM Green University has entered into a strategic partnership with American University USA to offer a 2+2 business administration degree pathway. Under this collaboration, Sri Lankan students can begin their studies at NSBM Green University and complete the final 2 years at American University in Washington, D.C. The partnership was officially signed in a ceremony attended by Her Excellency Julie Chang, the U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka. This agreement marks a significant milestone in NSBM's global expansion and offers students an opportunity to earn an internationally recognized degree. The initiative is expected to enhance Sri Lankan students' global career prospects and business leadership skills. Both universities are committed to fostering educational exchanges and cultural understanding. This partnership underscores the growing ties between Sri Lanka and the United States, particularly in higher education.
DIMO has successfully delivered the first large-scale fleet of Tata Signa Prime Movers to International Logistics and Movers Limited, marking a significant milestone in Sri Lanka's logistics industry. This acquisition strengthens Demo's position as the leading distributor of Tata Motors in Sri Lanka, with Tata remaining the top choice in the prime mover segment. ILM, a prominent logistics company, plans to expand its fleet with 50 Tata Signa units, focusing on enhancing operational efficiency, especially in port operations. The Tata Signa prime movers are praised for their higher payload capacity, fuel efficiency and superior driver comfort, with Demo's after-sales support being a key factor in ILM's decision. Demo Executive Director Rajiv Panditge highlighted the historic nature of this acquisition, showcasing the reliability and quality of Tata vehicles. The Tata Signa series is designed to meet modern logistics demand with advanced engineering, ensuring long-term value and improved safety for both drivers and operations. Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks plunged today as a broad market sell-off intensified amid the ongoing global trade war sparked by US President Donald Trump's tariff announcement. Japan, China and Hong Kong experienced the steepest losses, with Japan's Nikkei 225 index dropping as much as 9%, reaching its lowest level since November 2023. The Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 index in China fell nearly 6% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng index plunged over 9%. Other markets across the region also saw significant declines, including Singapore's Straits Times index, which dropped 7%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 reached a one-year low, while South Korea, Singapore and Australia all retreated sharply. Futures for India's Nifty 50 also fell more than 1%, indicating continued volatility in regional markets. Donald Trump's tariffs could spark high prices for US consumers, with Apple's Chinese-made iPhones among the products that look exposed. One calculation shows the popular iPhones could end up costing as much as $2,300.
A $2,300 iPhone. It could happen after Donald Trump's decision to hit China with steep tariffs. That's according to calculations by analysts. The US president has hit Beijing with a cumulative new levy of 54%. And that's a problem for Apple, which makes nearly all of its phones in China. The cheapest model of its current iPhone 16 was launched with a sticker price of $799 in the US. But calculations by Rosenblatt Securities show that could rise to $1,142 after the tariffs kick in. A high-end iPhone 16 Pro Max currently sells for up to $1,599. That could rise to almost $2,300. Little wonder then that Apple shares closed down over 9% on Thursday, enduring their worst day in 5 years. Now the tariffs leave the tech giant with a difficult choice: pass on the higher costs and hope consumers don't mind, or swallow the tariffs and take a big hit to profits. The firm didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on its thinking, but Rosenblatt estimates the tariffs could end up costing it some $40 billion. It all comes at a bad time for Apple. The company has already seen its sales sag in key markets, and its AI offering, Apple Intelligence, has so far failed to excite shoppers. During Trump's first term, Apple enjoyed exemptions from tariffs he imposed then. Now analysts say it's probably trying to negotiate something similar the second time around. So far, though, the iPhone maker seems to be out of luck.
Trump extended by 75 days a deadline for ByteDance to sell US assets of TikTok to a non-Chinese buyer or face a ban that was supposed to have taken effect in January under a 2024 law.
President Donald Trump has extended by 75 days the deadline for Chinese technology company ByteDance to sell the U.S. assets of TikTok to a non-Chinese buyer or face a ban. The deal requires more work to ensure all necessary approvals are signed, Trump wrote on Truth Social. We look forward to working with TikTok and China to close the deal. A 2024 law passed with overwhelming bipartisan support had required TikTok to stop operating by January 19th unless ByteDance had completed a divestiture of the app's U.S. assets. Lawmakers cited the risk of the Chinese government exploiting TikTok to spy on Americans. Trump began his second term as president on January 20th and opted not to enforce the law. Trump has said his administration was in touch with 4 different groups about a prospective TikTok deal, but has not identified them. China now faces a 54% tariff on goods imported into the U.S. after Trump announced he was hiking them by 34% this week. Trump has said he would be willing to reduce tariffs on China to get a deal done with ByteDance to sell the short video app used by 170 million Americans. A major stumbling block to any deal for TikTok's U.S. business is Chinese government approval. A ByteDance spokesperson said on Friday the company had been in discussion with the U.S. government, but that there are key matters to be resolved and that any agreement would be subject to approval under Chinese law. The new Trump order will set a mid-June deadline for a deal.
That's all from us on the Nightly Business Report for today. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardana. Thank you for watching and have a good night.